Hello besties, today we are doing a hand-painted floral tumbler. Make sure to check us out on Facebook at Misfit Makers and also check out our website www.misfit-makers.com. Okay, we're going to start with a morning mug from the Steel Magnolias, and we're going to start off by cleaning it off really good with alcohol. You just want to get off any oils or anything that's on it that may repel your paint. So for my base, I'm going to be using Pop of Color in the color Burgundy, and I'm going to be using a Wet n Wild brush to apply it. I love these brushes. They go on, the paint goes on so smoothly with them. I will need 2 coats, so just make sure that you do a nice even coat. Try to avoid any streaks. If you see streaks, it's okay. Just try to avoid it being too streaky. Move pretty quickly because the paint dries pretty fast. So between coats, make sure your first coat dries completely before going in with your second. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my second coat, and this coat goes on way smoother and less streaky, but just keep that in mind. Make it a thin coat, avoid streaks as much as possible, but don't go crazy over it. It's okay. We're going to fill this up with a bunch of flowers and glitter and all kinds of stuff that any imperfections will be lost in the design. After it's fully dry, I'm going to go in with these color shift paints. This is completely optional. Everything's optional, but I just wanted to give it some dimension. So I grabbed a dry brush and I just brushed it on there just to kind of give it like a, I don't know, like a cool artistic background. So I just alternated colors. I love this color shift because it gives different colors as you turn it. So just going around your tumbler, just kind of doing some little streaks. I made sure to use a brush that was kind of old, raggedy, and kind of crusty, so it would give it like a more dimension, more lines, more to see. Okay, now for the fun part. I am going to be using mostly Pop of Color, but also some acrylic paints by Folkart and just stuff that I have in my arsenal of paints. So anyway, let's get started. We are just going to start off with blobs, basically circles, kind of irregular. They don't have to be perfect. I promise, do not overthink it. It will turn out amazing. So I'm starting off with this blue, and I am going to make a little circle and then tap my brush and pick up some of that little lavender and then kind of mix it in there. You do not have to wait for one color to dry before the other one does, because I love the mixing. I love the dimension it gives it. If you notice, I'm kind of alternating colors until I see what I like. Once you see what you like, you do it over and over. So I am going to do several of these blue flowers, and then I'm going to move on to another color. Okay, now I'm starting with my purple pinky blobs or flowers. They're going to be flowers, okay? they're gonna be flowers. This is the kind of like trust the process kind of design, you know, like just trust yourself. I went ahead and spaced them out, but you can overlap them. You can make them bigger and some smaller. You can do whatever you want. Use your imagination as to however you want your design to be. Make sure to not forget about the butt, okay? The butt needs to look good as well. And if you want to alternate back to your blues, oops, I put too much purple, let me do blues. Or if you decide to add other colors, you can certainly add that. You don't have to have a certain color palette. So just giving you guys ideas. Here I am doing the butt. You can't forget the butt. Okay, now we're gonna move on to a different flower. This is like a hybrid flower, okay? I do not know my flowers like that. You guys may, but I don't. So this is kind of like a daisy slash sunflower slash just a pretty flower, okay? So I started off with a little dot in the middle, and then I worked my way around, kind of creating a little circle just so it's nice and symmetrical, working my way around the yellow dot as my guide. So I am making like little petals all around, and as you see, I'm gonna fill up the middle spots too. You can make bigger brush strokes. You can, like I said earlier, you can overlap them into your roses or whatever other flower you decide to make. So the possibilities are endless. Have fun with it. And just like I did with my roses, I also took another like lighter blue and kind of mixed it into my petals just to give it some dimension. I would recommend that you do this while your previous paint is still a little damp. That way it mixes really good and it kind of blends so it looks super professional. Okay, so now I'm moving on to another flower. Let's give it a name. What is it? What is it? I don't know. I don't know my flowers. It's just a pink pretty flower. So I started off again with a center yellow and then did 5 little spots around it just to kind of get my measurements right. And again, I took a different color as well on top of my pink to kind of give it some dimension. So just kind of go around your tumbler, filling up any spots that are open, and don't forget about your butt. So I decided to add some pink blobs, aka soon to be roses. So I started off with a lighter pink and then grabbed my darker pink to do the center and kind of mix it up again. So again, you can overlap them or you can just fill up any of the spaces in your tumbler design. So you can leave it as is, or if you want to take it to the next level, level up, then you want to add some greenery. I am adding some leaves to my roses and my other flowers. See how I say other flowers? Because I don't really know what kind of flowers these are. These are flowers of Jerry's imagination. So anyway, I am using 3 different color greens, a lime, a minty, and a darker green to create my leaves. I'm starting off with the the neon green, and then doing a little bit of dark, a little bit of the minty, just to kind of give it some dimension. Not every single one has to be the same. So in the little open spaces, make your little leaves there, either make a double leaf or a single leaf, just kind of play around with it. Again, this is completely up to you. Your imagination will take you wherever you want it to go. I hope you guys are enjoying these little artistic motivational speeches, because I think I'm talking to myself. Like, this is the stuff I was telling myself. It's okay, it's art, it could be whatever it wants to be. Use your imagination, Jerry. So this is me encouraging you. Okay, let's move on to glittering our handle. We're gonna be using some Devil's Glue and some pop of color in the burgundy and the color Wine from Bougie Glitter. So let's start off by painting our handle with the little mixture I made here. Remember, it is Mod Podge and pop of color, so it does dry super quick. So just move quickly, but also move carefully, not to drip it on your tumbler or to ruin any of your flowery art. When choosing glitter for your handled tumblers, I recommend you use fine glitter, ultra fine to regular fine. Just try to stay away from chunky. It just makes it much easier to get a smooth coat of epoxy over it. So if you do decide to use chunky, may the odds forever be in your favor. So after this dries, I will seal it with Mod Podge, just the handle, and then I will go ahead and go straight with my epoxy. I did add a little bit of glitter additive to my epoxy to make it nice and sparkly. So after this cures and dries, then we're ready for the next part. Okay, so after it's nice and dry, you want to sand your tumbler. Very, very, very light sanding. Very, very, very low pressure, okay? Remember, guys, it only has one coat of epoxy, and if you sand too deep, you will sand off your beautiful painting. So just very light pressure, get all the little high spots, and get your rim really, really good and ready to go. After I sand it, I make sure to clean it off thoroughly with a coffee filter and some water. And also take this time to clean off your rim. I like to use an X-Acto knife and just clean along it, just kind of getting any little epoxy drippings off of it. I'm going to be using a Sharpie oil-based paint marker to draw on my flowers. I recommend getting the fine point pen. This will make it much easier to draw your design. Okay, so this part is a little bit tricky. You need to practice on your own on a piece of paper before you take it to your cup. But if you're like me and just want to go for it, then absolutely go for it. The great thing about it is that you can always use alcohol to wipe it off as long as you do it pretty much immediately. Okay, so I like to start with a little circle in the middle and then kind of make my way around little squiggly lines. Not like a little flower like you did when you were like a little kid, but like try to overlap them a little bit, if that makes any sense. Start at one petal and kind of end in the middle of another. These flowers are, I guess they're kind of looking like hydrangeas, but if you want it to look more like a rose, you can always make it less squiggly. As far as your leaf petals, again, just kind of outline them and just do little designs. Sometimes I do little lines, sometimes I do little dots, sometimes I just do the outline. Just try to kind of use your imagination. If you don't like what you see, grab a little bit of alcohol on a piece of, not toilet paper, a piece of paper towel. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And just wipe it down. For these little flowers, again, I outlined along my paint using it as my guide and then kind of did them a little squiggly. Like, try not to make them perfect. Remember, your imperfections are lost whenever you provide a lot more to see, I guess. So as you see for this one, I went more with a rose effect. My petals are not as wavy, but still a little wavy, if you can catch my drift. Okay, so I'm trying really hard to explain as to how to do the flowers, but it's hard, so I'm just gonna show you how to do it. And as you notice, every single one is kind of different. Like, some of them look like roses, Some of them look like more like hydrangeas. So let's just call it a rosedrangea. Rosedrangea, or maybe it looks like something else. But it looks like a flower, right? That's the point. So anyway, I'm just gonna go around my tumbler, drawing all the flowers. Make sure to let it dry just a little bit before you put your hand over it so you don't smear it. But it dries pretty quick, so you don't have to be that careful, but just a little careful. Okay, let's move on to our little hybrid daisy, a sunflower, wannabe, I don't know, flower, beautiful teal flower. So we're gonna go ahead and do our petals, kind of drawing them over our existing petals, so as a guide, but you can certainly go over it or create new petals that weren't even there. If you notice, I created one right in the middle there because it needed it, but it wasn't painted, but it's okay. It's all part of the design, and I made little dots in the center. So just go around your tumbler making little designs. As you see, I'm doing like little waviness. If you try to do them too straight, that's when you can see more imperfections. I don't know why. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. So just practice your flower on a piece of paper, or go for it. Just go for it. So she's starting to look so cute, so cute. Do you guys want some more motivational art speeches? Because I can certainly give them, because this is just gonna take time to paint around my cup, but I didn't want to cut anything out because I know a lot of you guys are visual learners, just like me. So I am going to grace you with another TED Talk. So basically, as you see here, I'm just squiggling my way around and not forgetting the petals. Don't forget the petals. And when you see my tumbler all completed, you'll see that I added some little dots. I love adding dots. And we just finished a mandala art in our Besties group that I kind of have dots on my mind. So I've been doing dots on everything, and I love it. I feel like dots give it a little extra flair without making it super busy. So anyway, I'm just rambling along because I'm painting and I feel like I need to talk to somebody. But I'm just gonna add a bunches of little dots all around. Okay, so after you're done painting, you wanna let it dry really good, and then go in with at least 2 more coats of epoxy, sanding in between each layer. As you see here, I'm struggling with my cup, trying to fall off my football. Need to get a new football for this. But here she is. She looks so beautiful. It was so hard to capture it without a bunch of glare, but look how pretty she looks. I hope I inspired you to try your very first hand-painted floral design. I just want to give a shout out to our Patreons. Thank you so much for all your support. Make sure to check us out, and also make sure to subscribe and follow to our Facebook group, our Patreon, and our YouTube. Till next time, see you, besties.